Flashlight was suiting up and getting ready to step into the containment area of the fusion reactor that provides vast quantities of electric power to the gravity generator, the propulsion drive that was being built to enable moving the asteroid to a location where the Tworcs could mine the organic baubles that were so highly prized by the enthusiastic customers of the company. The Tworcs like to sing songs and to twerk when mining the organic baubles, which were like pomegranate seeds at various locations inside the asteroid and tasted like licorice jelly beans. The organic baubles had the valuable effect of extending lifespan and were one of the ways the company funded its various activities. This made the asteroid and its organic baubles very important to the company and its well-funded customers, and the company did everything possible to ensure the safety and security of the asteroid by providing military support by its military travel service, Dream 9, which was led by Braino leader Blota Realty, and mostly used Brainos for piloting the Dream 9 warship and other activities. Brainos were the brains of older company executives who, when their bodies were exhausted, became brains, living in mirrored plastic spheres, a type of super strong steel which usually was clear and transparent like glass but could be masked and even made invisible as necessary. The Brainosphere, which looked like a big and quite surreal soap bubble, provided life support, perceptual interfaces, propulsion, and weapons systems for the brain it housed, and was treated with the utmost fear and respect by non-Braino plebeians and other folks and entities who were not so fortunate to be Brainos, if becoming a Braino was considered to be good fortune. The fusion reactor was the latest version in a centuries-long line of fusion reactors and was a true marvel of engineering and physics, but recently became to be very interesting, if not compellingly interesting, to a group of ethereal entities colloquially called angels from the 13th dimension who enjoyed congregating inside the containment area of the fusion reactor, where they essentially fed on large quantities of energy, which in turn lowered the overall electrical output of the fusion reactor. Lancelot L.E.D., or Flashlight as he was known, specialized in encouraging the angels to leave the containment area of the fusion reactor, and consequently was a handsomely paid technician and recognized expert in his field. Flashlight donned his protective suit and was getting ready to enter the containment area with his various equipment before the fusion reactor was activated, where the strategy first was to hold a sign reading, "Attention Angels, nothing here, so go away," and then using various musical devices to make sounds that the angels would find to be a bit too dominating and surreal, most of which were a cacophony of disco sounds, instrumental surf music, and Latin percussion from 1980s Earth. Unlike Frog the Munificent, the Shadows, Ramunculus and the Wiggles, Ogly Noggly, Bakra and Suzanne, the Tworcs, and certain of the Brainos, the angels did not share this love for disco, instrumental surf music, and Latin percussion. Hence, if the sign declaring, "Attention angels, nothing here, so go away," did not encourage the angels to get out of the containment area, then the music and sound certainly would be sufficient encouragement for this purpose, as Flashlight was fond of saying at times, apparently to justify his activities. One of the benefits of controlling the angels for Flashlight is that the Tworcs gave Flashlight some of the organic baubles they mined as their way of showing gratitude for Flashlight's important work in making it possible for asteroids filled with organic baubles to be moved into the region of space-time where the Tworcs existed and were able to do the required mining. It was a mutually beneficial relationship, and Flashlight was glad to have the business and the organic baubles. Bakra and Suzanne were on the asteroid supervising the activity, and Ramunculus, the overlord of the 13th dimension, Melvin Pipple, not his real name, director of the Pretend FBI, and Professor Dave Darkstone were monitoring the event, with the latter two doing this with their Universatone Galactic radios and Universatone Super Deluxe Broadcaster Master microphones. The Tworcs went by numbers rather than names, and there were two primary groups, the odds and the evens. But there also were splinter groups, like the Fibonacci's, the Primes, and the Busy Beavers, as well as the Double O's and their leader 007, along with the Rymans and the trivial and non-trivial zeros, a curious subgroup whose logic has eluded experts and scholars for centuries. Similar to elk and moose lodges, the various Tworc groups have local events, and they're always important annual conventions where such topics as who we are, what we do, and how is this possible are discussed while happy beverages and tasty bakery treats are enjoyed, which, depending on the level of sugar, often will lead to spontaneous singing, dancing, and even rude twerking. In addition to the quite popular spontaneous singing, the Tworcs always sang a few rounds of their favorite song, We Work, We Dance, We Twerk. Of extreme gravity.